Right, so we will start the lesson liquid measurements. So this will be the 9th lesson of our first term lessons. Right, so this lesson is not a very lengthier one. Right, basically we need to understand about two things. Right, what's the first thing? What is the relationship between cubic centimeters and milliliters? Then the other thing, what is the relationship between cubic meters and liters? Right, so we will go to page number 1. The relationship between a cubic centimeter and a milliliter. Okay, so what is the relationship? 1 cubic centimeter, it will be equal to 1 milliliter. Right? So when we do calculations related to this lesson, we definitely have to remember this. So 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. So taking in that to consideration, we can say 1000 cubic centimeters, it will be equal to 1000 milliliters, no? If 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter, then definitely 1000 cubic centimeters will be equal to 1000 milliliters. We know 1000 milliliters, that means what? That means 1 liter. So we can say 1000 cubic centimeters, it is equal to 1000 milliliters and it will be equal to what? 1 liter. So we can say 1000 cubic centimeter, it is equal to 1 liter. So I have summarized and rewritten what we have learned on this part. So 1 cubic centimeter, it is equal to 1 milliliter. So therefore 1000 cubic centimeters will be equal to 1000 milliliters. And we know 1000 milliliters is equal to what? 1 liter. So we can connect these two. So we can say 1000 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 liter. So definitely we need to keep in our mind these relationships, right? Because we will definitely have to use these when we do calculations. So 1 cubic centimeter, it will be equal to 1 milliliter. If we consider a cube which has a length of 1 centimeter, width of 1 centimeter and height of also 1 centimeter, the amount of liquid that cube can hold will be equal to what? 1 milliliter. Okay, so now we will go to page number 2, exercise 1. Question number 1, what do we have? A cuboid shaped glass container of length 20 centimeters, width 15 centimeters and height 10 centimeters is filled with a liquid medicine. So we have 3 questions under that question number 1. What's the first part? Find the volume of the container in cubic centimeters. Right, so we will write down the dimensions. Length is 20 centimeters, width is 15 centimeters and the height is 10 centimeters. So how do we calculate the volume? Volume is equal to what? Length into width into height, no? Right? So 20 into 15 into, so what's the value? 3000. What's the unit? Cubic centimeters. Part 2. What is the capacity of the container in liters? So capacity means what? When we take a container and when we fill that container with a liquid to the fullest, that is what? Capacity. So basically in this question, under part 1, we have calculated the capacity of this container, which is 3000 cubic centimeters. Now, what are they asking? Capacity in liters. Okay. Now, we know 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cubic centimeter. And also we know 1 liter is equal to 1000 milliliters. And since 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cubic centimeter, what can we say? 1 liter is equal to 3000 cubic centimeters. So from the first part of the question, we know the capacity is what? 3000 cubic centimeters. Okay, so what do we have to do? We have to convert this amount into what? Liters. What do we have to do? We have to divide this by what? 1000. So here what do we get? 3 liters. Part 3. If the liquid in the container is to be stored in vials of capacity 50 milliliters each, find the number of vials required to store all the liquid in the container. So here basically what do we have to do? We know the total liquid amount is what? 300 cubic centimeters, and since 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cubic centimeter, we can say the total amount of liquid or medicine is what? 3000 milliliters. So if we consider one vial, what's the capacity? 50 milliliters. No? So how do we come up with the value? How many vials that we need? What do we have to do? 3000 we have to divide by 50, right? So here I can cancel off 1 0, 5 into 1, 5 into 60. So 60 vials. Question number 2. 800 liters of water is in a cuboid shaped concrete tank consisting of a base of length 2 meters and width 1 meter. Find the height to which the water is filled in the tank. Okay, so first of all we will try to understand what are the things that we know in this question, right? So one thing is, we know the amount of liquid inside this concrete tank, which is 800 liters. So amount of liquid inside this tank, in the sense that is the volume of this concrete tank at the moment, right? Volume in the sense, volume of the liquid that is inside it, right? We know the length, we know the width. We need to find what? Okay, so there's a small thing. What is that? If you observe the length and the width, those are given to us in what? Meters. Volume, that is given to us in what? Liters. So the very first thing is, we need to convert this volume into what? Cubic centimeters. And also we have to convert the length and width into what? Centimeters. Right? That is 200 centimeters, width that is 100 centimeters. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Right? So now we have to convert the volume of the tank into what? Cubic centimeters. So how do we do that? So we know 1 liter is equal to what? 1000 cubic centimeters, no? So what do we have to do? 800, we have to multiply that by 1000. So this will be what? Cubic centimeters, right? So we will keep this value as it is without doing any simplifications, right? Okay. Now we will again go back to the question. What is the thing that we need to find? We need to find the height of this concrete tank. We know the volume of the concrete tank at the moment, right? And already we have converted that into what? Cubic centimeters. We know the length, we know the width, right? So simply considering the formula for the volume of the concrete tank, right? We can easily find simple h, right? Okay, so we will consider simple h as the height. 200 into 100 into, this is the length, this is the width, into simple h. So that is equal to 800 into 1000. So what is simple h? 800 into 1000, divide the whole thing by 200 into 100, right? So 200 times 1, 200 times 4. So I can easily cancel off these two zeros to these two zeros, right? So 4 into 10, that means what? 40. So here the height comes in what? 40 centimeters, and we can convert that into meters, which will be what? 0.4 meters. So this is the answer. Okay, so now we will move to page number 3. The relationship between a liter and a cubic meter. Right, so this is a relationship. That means 1 cubic meter, it will be equal to 1000 liters. That means if we consider a cube which has a length of 1 meter, width of 1 meter and height of 1 meter, the amount of liquid that container can hold is equal to what? 1 cubic meter. So 1 cubic meter is equal to 1000 liters, right? This relationship also we need to apply when we do calculations. Okay, so we will do some questions related to that. So we will go to exercise number 2. Question number 1, what do we have? The internal length, width and height of a cuboid shaped tank in which water is stored for the daily use of a cuboid are 1.5 meters, 1 meter and 1 meter respectively. So under that question we have two parts. So what's the first part? What is the capacity of the tank in liters? Right? So we will write down part 1. So they are asking capacity. Capacity in what? Liters. So what do we have to do? We have to multiply these values, no? So capacity equals to what? 1.5 into 1 into 1. So what do we get? 1.5 cubic meters. This is not the answer. They are asking the capacity in what? Liters. So we know 1 cubic meter, that is equal to 1000 liters. So what do we have to do? In order to convert this value which is given to us in cubic meters to liters, we have to multiply that by what? 1000. So 1.5 into 1000, right? So what do we get? 1500 liters. Part 2. If the residents use 300 liters per day, for how many days will a completely filled tank be sufficient? So capacity is what? We have calculated it. So that is 1500 liters, no? If we consider one day, the residents use 300 liters. So what do we have to do? If the residents use 300 liters per day, right? And if we need to find how many days that this capacity of water will last, what do we have to do? We have to divide this value by 300. Why is that? This is the capacity that we have. 300 means what? The amount of water that the residents use daily, right? So number of days is what? Number of days is equal to 1500 divided by 300, which will be what? 5. So this will be what? Days. Question number 2. The length, breadth and height of a water tank are 2 meters, 1.5 meters and 1 meters respectively. So there are several questions under that main question. So first part, express the capacity of the tank in liters. Okay, so I have written down the dimensions of the tank. So we have to calculate the capacity. So simply what do we have to do? Length into width into height, right? So 2 into 1.5 into 1. So what will it be? 3 cubic meters. Now in the question, what are they asking? They are asking to write the capacity in liters. So we know 1 cubic meter is equal to 1000 liters. So in order to convert this amount, which is 3 cubic meters, into liters, what do we have to do? We have to multiply this value by 1000. So 3 into 1000, so this will be 3000 liters. That's the answer. Part 2. If the daily water requirement of a person is 150 liters, how much water is required daily for 4 people? So if we think about one person, right? So a person needs 150 liters. So for 4 people, what do we have to do? 150 into 4, no? So 150, we need to multiply that by 4. So 15 into 4, that is 60. So 150 into 4, that is 600. So the unit will be what? Liters. Part 3. For how many days will the water in this tank be sufficient for 4 people if it is full? So previously we calculated the capacity of the tank, which is what? 300 liters. And also we know one person requires 150 liters of water daily. So we have a total of 4 people. That means the total amount of water required for 4 people will be what? 600 liters. So how do we get the answer? 3000. So that will be the capacity of the tank. We will divide that by what? 600. So I can cancel off these two zeros. 6 into 1, 6 into 5. So we get 5. Now what are these? Days. Right. So that means if the tank is full and the number of people we have is 4 and one person requires 150 liters of water daily, the amount of water, which is 300 liters, is enough for 5 days. Part 4. If water is supplied to the tank at a rate of 100 liters per minute, how much time is needed to fill the tank if it is empty? Okay, so what is the rate? 100 liters, that is per minute. So they are asking us to imagine that the tank is empty. So we know the capacity is what? 300 liters. So in order to calculate the time, what do we have to do? 300 liters we have to divide by what? 100. So what do we get? 30, but this 30, those are what? Minutes. Part 5. On a day when the tank is filled to its capacity, 900 liters of water leaks out due to a fault in the delivery pipeline. Find the height of the remaining water. So the first thing is, we need to find the amount of water that is remaining. So what do we have to do? We know the tank is at its capacity. That means the tank is full. So when that happens, the amount of water in the tank is what? 300 liters. And we know the amount of water that has been leaked out. What is that? 900 liters. So what will be the remaining amount? So what will be the remaining amount of volume? 3000 minus 900, which will be 2100 liters. So what do we need to find? We need to find the height of the remaining water. We can consider the volume of the remaining water. So the length and the width of the height will be the same. The only difference is what? We don't know the height of the remaining water or the height of the remaining water level, right? So we can equate that into what? The remaining volume of water. There's a small thing we have to do. What is that? The remaining water volume that is given to us in what? At the moment we have that in liters. So we need to convert that into what? Cubic meters, right? So what do we have to do? 2100, we have to divide it by 1000, no? Right? So what will it be? 2.1 cubic meters. Okay? We can rewrite this as what? 2.1 cubic meters. So we will consider the height of the remaining water level as what? Simple h. Okay? So 2 into 1.5 into simple h, that will be equal to what? 2.1. Right? So what will be h? H will be equal to 2.1 divided by 2 into 1.5. Right? So we know 2 into 1.5 means what? 3. So that means 2.1 we have to divide by 3. So when we divide this, what do we get? 0.7. Right. So H will be 0.7 meters. That means it will be 70 centimeters. Both answers are correct.